Day, right here on First Take.
Philadelphia is sitting at 5-5 and hosting the Seahawks on Sunday, who are rolling at 8-2. Jonathan Vilma, you came back.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you for joining us. We'll get you in the conversation. I'll start with Max on this one. Is this a must-win for the Eagles?
No. They're a game back of the Cowboys. If the Cowboys look like world beaters to anyone this year, I mean, on paper, as I've said, 1 through 53, I love the Saints. I thought the Colts to start the season, you see how resilient they've been with Brissett, showing you their depth at every position, including quarterback. But the 1 through 22, the team I liked was the Cowboys. Everywhere I looked, I was like, woo, that's a guy. And other than, like, Jason Witten, who shouldn't be playing much at tight end anymore, the truth is. But, like, it's not just a guy, but, like, a young guy or a guy in his prime. Both sides of the ball. But they just haven't performed that way. At a certain point, you are what you are. And I don't see the Cowboys as running away with it. And by the way, they got to beat the Patriots to stay above 500 right now, or much above 500, to stay ahead of the Eagles. No, I don't see it's like the NFC 1 game back with 6 games to play is by definition not a must-win.
Well, listen, it was going to be a must-win for me, but I owe all of y'all an apology up here because I usually don't change my mind. But I have no choice, and I apologize to my producers here because I didn't look at the damn schedule. I understand the Cowboys, but damn, after the Eagles game, the Seahawks game for the Eagles, they got 2 against the Redskins and 2 against the Giants and the Dolphins. I mean, damn.
That's 5-0.
My goodness. I mean, listen, I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, damn, Cowboys already beat them once. And you a game up. So you got to get a 2-game edge. But then when you look at the Cowboys, you got New England, Buffalo, Chicago, the Rams, Eagles, and then basically the Redskins at the end of the season. But those are 5 tough games for the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles, one could make an argument they got about 3 or 4 bye weeks mixed up in there in the last 5 weeks. So I apologize.
I saw the schedule.
Yes.
I interpreted it a much different way, though.
Okay.
The schedule is very easy for Philly, but take a deeper dive into that conference and into that division. Dallas leads by a landslide in everything else, conference record and division record. So if we're going to say that Dallas is going to end up a 9-7 team,
okay,
Philly's going to end up somewhere around 9-7 as well. The next thing that we're going to look to is the division record, then the conference record, and then Dallas wins both of those. There is no wildcard team coming from the NFC East, so it's either you win a division in Eagles or Dallas or you're out. So this is definitely a must-win game for the Eagles because if the Eagles can't get to 10 victories, they're in all kinds of issues.
But you're Stephen A. 2 against Washington and 2 against New York.
Right, but they lose this game. You're talking about, like I said, a 9-7 team, and that one loss would now be again to who? Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
So you have 4 victories or whatever it is there. There's a matchup with the Cowboys they have to face.
Tiebreakers. If they both wind up 9-7, but I think the point is Philly would really have to screw it up to not win at least 4 of the 5 games that Stephen A. mentioned. At least.
But that's my point.
But that puts you at 9.
That puts you at 9.
They should probably win 5 out of those 6.
Okay, so let's take it from the other angle. The Cowboys are 6-4. Is it fair to say they're going to win 3 more games this year?
Cowboys?
I think
Cowboys.
so. Yeah,
it's fair to say they're going to win 3 more games.
I think it's fair.
So they will be 9-7.
Okay.
If Philly loses today and they still go on a great tear and they win 9 games this season, they will both be sitting at 9-7.
Who was the tough game on the schedule you mentioned?
Cowboys.
Coming up,
the Cowboys?
for the Eagles. You mentioned
Cowboys.
After the Seahawks,
right?
They got Miami.
Right.
2 against the Giants.
Right.
And 2 against the Redskins.
Cowboys are in there.
And the Cowboys.
That's their tough game.
Right, so
that's what I'm saying.
So they have another bite at the apple.
And that's my whole point. If they lose that, you're sitting at 9-7, and you lose every other
2 against the Giants, 1 against the Redskins, the Cowboys,
right,
and
so
Miami.
Right. You're saying that right.
Right. So now you lose every other tiebreaker. The conference division record lost. Cowboys are 4-0 right now in the division. You lose that if you're Philly. Conference record, you're going to lose.
It does put
so you
pressure
cannot
on
be 9-7.
Philly to beat all the teams they should beat. They don't have a chance to slip up.
And beat the Cowboys.
But here's my thing. But here's my point.
That's why it's a must win.
I believe the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys in the second meeting in Philadelphia, which is on December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas. Outside of that, after Seattle, they got Miami, Giants, Redskins, Dallas, and then the Giants.
Correct.
So if I believe you're going to beat the Cowboys, then I believe it's conceivable
You're
that
gonna go 5-0.
the Eagles are going to go 5-0
No,
in the
wait,
season.
hold on.
Correct.
Jonathan,
So
what you're saying is the
10-6.
rematch against the Cowboys is the must-win.
No.
That's the must-win.
No, this is the must-win because you win this one, now you're 6-5, and then you only have to worry about those 4 games to get to 10.
Well, but
you have 4 easy victories to get to 10.
But, okay,
That's
you're
what I'm
changing
saying.
the idea of must-win is that
Yes.
forget about the math of it all. You
Okay.
get the feeling like they really have to have this game to avoid a disastrous scenario.
Yes,
What you're
exactly.
saying is this is a really good idea to win because it puts them in the driver's seat.
No.
The must-win for them is the rematch with the Cowboys unless they lose to the Giants, Dolphins, or
They're
Washington,
still
which they should not.
No. They're still not in the driver's seat if they win. If they win and the Cowboys lose, you're looking at 2 6-5 teams, right?
Right, and one has a
And-
much easier schedule.
Dallas is still ahead of them, though, because of all the tiebreakers. That's where I keep
Who would
going
you
back
rather
to.
be?
Who would I rather?
Yeah, what team would you rather be?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'd much rather be Dallas right now. I have the better team. I have the better quarterback.
Well, okay, wait.
Oh, no.
The
You
better
asked me who would I rather
the
be.
better
I'd
team,
much rather be Dallas right now.
The better team, I agree. Would you rather be the Eagles facing their schedule or the Cowboys facing their schedule?
I want to be the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 6-4.
Okay, I think it's a.
The Cowboys are 6-4,
I think it's a
4-0 in the
toss-up.
division.
I think it's a toss-up.
So how would this not be a must-win?
Because-
that's all the reason why this needs to
Because
be a
even if
must-win.
you lose this game, it's a toss-up based on the schedule.
I don't think so.
And you still have your destiny in your own
I
hands.
feel like
Melissa.
what y'all are really debating right now is what is defining a must-win game.
Right.
All right, and that's a different topic. But let's move on to the Panthers.
Okay.
Because y'all are going on.
Yeah.
After the
That went a little
Panthers,
circular.
after the Panthers fell to 5-5 with a lopsided 29-3 loss to Atlanta last weekend, Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper addressed reporters on Monday saying that he would not accept long-term mediocrity. This was the Panthers' second time in 4 games being blown out by their opponent. So, Stephen A., is Ron Rivera coaching for his job right now?
I think he could be. And I think he could be because ultimately this team is, whether they're mediocre or better, is going to be decided by what you do with your quarterback situation. And considering the fact that Cam Newton is hurt, Cam Newton only played 2 games this year. He was only complete 56% of his passes at the time. Clearly had not completely rehabilitated from his injuries from last season when he was completing about 68% of his passes, the best of his career, over 67% before his injury. The bottom line is this. What the Carolina Panthers have repeatedly shown, they got a coach, got an elite defense. I'm talking about the past. They have a coach, they have the elite defense, et cetera, et cetera. But everything comes and goes with that quarterback situation, which clearly has been Cam Newton. And unless they've made a decision, either they're going to move Cam or they're going to keep him. Either way, it's going to dictate the level of success you're going to have in your future. And that's why I say Cam Newton, of course he could be coaching for his job because right now they're looking at this team in its totality, and you have teams with suspect, mediocre, or average quarterbacks who have enjoyed the level of success. And if I'm an owner, as much as I like Ron Rivera, I'm going to ask the question, how come I haven't gotten that with you? Even though they're not bad this year, but I'm still going to ask that question. They are 5-5. They're still in the playoff hunt, but I don't think they were going to go.
See, I take Tepper's comments differently in terms of the implications of what he's saying, whether he realizes it or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what Jerry Jones did with the Cowboys. He isolated for every variable. You got an offensive line, you got a defense, you got receivers, you got a running back. I'm signing everybody up. If we don't make a run, is it the quarterback or the coach? And I believe ultimately, whether he realizes it or not, what he's doing is isolating the coach, and then eventually he'll get rid of the coach. What Tepper's going to come to realize when he says, mediocrity is not okay long term, is these replacement quarterbacks in the league who get hot for a little while, they look like it did. And then you have Cam Newton, who has a track record by hook or by crook. I know you say, well, he hasn't shown he could pass, but he has a track record in the NFL as a difference maker. He's made it to a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. And with North Turner, he also showed statistically he was having his best passing season until he got hurt. So I think ultimately where this leads the owner is, if we don't want to be mediocre, then all this noise about you got to move on from Cam Newton, no, that's how you remain mediocre. We have a special quarterback. If this guy gets healthy, I have to throw down with him. Like, that's the thing we have to do and not move on from
Let
him.
me ask Jonathan this question based off of what you just said to get your opinion. Mm-hmm. I understand Cam was once special. I understand that he's been suffering from those injuries. Do you still consider Cam Newton special as a quarterback?
Am I assuming he's coming back healthy?
Yes.
Yes. He's still special.
Okay.
I assume he's coming back healthy. He's still special. I saw a shell of who he was injured. I take the comments much differently. I take the comments as he saw the Saints and how the Saints performed when Drew Brees was down and Drew Brees was injured, and he watched the Saints defense step up and continue to win games and have Teddy Bridgewater, who did a phenomenal job in Drew Brees' absence. And then he saw Drew Brees come back. They sputtered in one game and stepped right back into it. He's seen sustained success from the Saints winning the division now multiple years in a row and saying, wait a minute, what's going on with us? Because when you look at the Carolina Panthers, every time we start the season, we say, defense is good, they should be in it. They're not in it. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're not going to make a wild card spot. And you can talk about the quarterback position all we want, but he's looking and saying, I have a team, a franchise, a model that I have to see twice a year that has figured it out. Why haven't we figured it out?
And Max, I want to say this to you about North Turner. I think he was doing an outstanding job in the early part of last season with Cam Newton. But that's not to say that people would not have figured things out. We don't know. North Turner as an offensive coordinator since 2013. His offenses have ranked 27, 20, 16, 23, 14, and 15.
It's not going to get it done.
Look, I'm
just saying that. I don't know.
Your guy's point.
I'm just saying.
Your guy's point seems to be coach. Like the focus is starting to go to coach. Are you good enough? But what I'm saying is.
I'm saying it's both, coach and players.
Okay, what I'm saying is there was a lot of talk about, hey, Cam is replaceable. Cam is older. Cam's expensive. Let's go with the younger, cheaper version. And what I'm saying is whether the owner realizes it or not, when he sits down to evaluate what he has, to me, this is going to lead inevitably to the conclusion, whoa, wait a minute, we have a healthy Cam Newton, we're not moving on from that.
Jonathan, if you are the Panthers and you want to move away from kind of being middle of the pack, would you start with Ron Rivera?
Would I start as in replacing Ron Rivera?
Yeah, the coach.
No, I would start. Ron Rivera's a good coach. I would start with the offensive coordinator. I would start with really analyzing, are we playing complementary football? We always spit that out. And what is complementary football? I'll never forget when Sean Payton, we won the Super Bowl. Sean Payton said, we are at our best when I stop trying to pass the ball so damn much and I focus on running the football because Drew Brees is going to get his regardless.
We got to go. Marty Herney, is that the name of the the GM for the Carolina Panthers?
I don't know.
I think it's Marty Herney.
Yes.
What personnel have you given Ron Rivera to work with?
Hot
That
take.
too.
All right, thanks for watching First Take.
100%.
Coast to
That's the
Coast
first place I
is next.
Mr. McCaffrey?
That's